Not right at this moment, Your Honor.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, we're ready. Is Mr. Boyd here? We can have him come back to the witness stand. If you want to just hold him off at the door until Mr. Boyd gets in the witness chair. I don't know who is connected right now, but I need to restart our Polycom because it's going to time out at some point this afternoon if I don't restart the call.
Hold on. I know what I said.
You are in the meeting now.
You may be seated.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to resume. Mr. Boyd, I will just remind you that you are still under oath.
Good afternoon, Mr. Boyd. My name is Mary Chartier. I represent Mr. Warner. Congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you.
I want to start off with that. And then I also want to start off with the work that you did on the Warner property. So you said you worked there for roughly 4 years.
That's correct.
Did you work there full-time or was it part-time?
I was more than full-time.
So if we looked at a week, would it change because you talked about planting season, harvesting season?
No less than 70, 80 hours a week.
All year long?
Yes.
Oh, that is a lot.
That's correct.
Okay. And is that 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
6 off-season, 5.5, somewhere in there, 5.5 to 6 off-season, and pretty much 7 days a week in spring planting and fall harvest.
So if we're talking about April 25th, 2021, that's a Sunday, is that in one of the planting or harvesting? I assume it's not harvesting. But
We were starting to get into planting season where we were getting things ready and filling tanks and getting fertilizer applied.
could you come onto the property when you needed to work, or, for example, you were working on your personal truck on that
Yes.
Sunday, correct?
That is correct.
Were there any sort of restrictions on when you could enter?
No.
And when you did that work, how closely were you working with Mr. Warner? So if you were working 70 to 80 hours a week, roughly what percentage are you working sort of side by side with him?
Less than 10% of the time, I would say.
So fair to say you don't know what he's doing in terms of personal knowledge when you're not with him?
No.
Now, during your time working with Mr. Warner, how often did you hear him get angry?
I can once I heard him yell. That is all in 4 years.
And was that with an employee on the farm?
That is correct.
And was that someone who had done something
They
wrong?
absolutely deserved it, yes.
They deserved it. Did Mr. Warner then apologize after yelling at a later on in the day?
Yes.
Would you describe Mr. Warner as being laid back?
Yes.
Would you describe him as someone who doesn't fly off the handle?
I would describe him as yes, someone who doesn't fly off the handle, who has most everything calculated out, yes.
And someone who doesn't let his temper get the best of him?
That would be a fair assertion, yes.
Thank you. Now, as to your work, you talked about a number of different things you did, from driving truckloads to filling anhydrous tanks, and I want to focus on the anhydrous tanks. So if we're looking at your workload, what portion of it related to the anhydrous tanks?
It varied day to day and week to week. In the season where we were doing that, if I came back, I was done trucking, I come back in the afternoon, I got whatever field I was working or whatever I was done doing. I had mentioned Jim Hawkins, he also filled tanks. So he would fill them during the day to keep everything rolling, and then when I would get back, if we had any empties, which we usually did, I would fill them before I went home.
So you said to keep everything rolling. Are people coming to the property every day to get anhydrous tanks?
We had very few that came to the farm to get them. We had a driver that would take those tanks out to the customer's field, and then he would bring back empties with him.
So someone on the farm, so if I'm a farmer, I just want to make sure I understand, I would put in an order for an anhydrous tank,
Yes,
and then someone on the farm would deliver that tank to somebody,
that is correct.
and then they would take back an empty tank.
Yes,
And that process would continue as long as the farmer wanted that.
that's correct.
But you said there were a few people who came on the property to get their tank. Anyone in particular you can think of?
I may be slightly mistaken in that. If I remember right, the only ones that really came to get fertilizer from the farm was partridges, and they came to get liquid fertilizer, which is a different product.
What about the Hardys? Did they ever come to pick up their anhydrous tanks?
I believe that Hardee's did come, but I believe they usually filled their own tanks and weighed them.
Okay, so great, thank you for that clarification. So if I'm a farmer, you would fill the tank for me, and then it would either be delivered, or in the rare instance you said of the partridges, they would come pick it up. But the Hardys, they were able to fill up their own tank.
Yes, I believe so.
And then how would that work? So you've got that full tank of anhydrous ammonia. Was it weighed before it left the property?
Yes, that's correct.
And I think you still have that pointer up there. Would you
Yes.
point to where that scale is?
That scale is this long red rectangle right here next to the office.
And so would a truck pull up on there and put the tank on to be weighed?
Yes,
And then it gets delivered. Then when the tank comes back, is it weighed again to see
Yes.
how much product goes out?
yes,
And then that's how someone is billed?
yes, that's correct.
And so again, if I'm the driver, I'm doing that for a particular farm, but the Hardys are doing that themselves.
Yes.
Now, what about other work that you did on the tanks? Were you involved with any sort of maintenance of the tanks?
Nothing really beyond flat tires or bad wheel bearings.
What about, and the tires, are those on the, sort of the runners?
Yes.
So, because the tanks don't have wheels, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So what are they placed on?
They're placed on a running gear.
Okay, they're placed on running gear. So if there was a flat tire on the running gear, you would take care of
Yes.
that?
Yes.
But you weren't involved in any of the mechanics of the tank themselves?
No.
Do you know about how long those tanks are?
I would say the short ones were probably 12-ish foot, and the long ones, the big ones we had on the farm, were maybe 15 or 16.
Do you know how much they weighed?
I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood, somewhere between 6 empty and maybe 12 or 15,000 pounds loaded.
Okay, so when you say 6, you don't mean 6
6,000.
pounds. You mean
Yes.
how many pounds?
6,000.
6,000
I
pounds.
think it's somewhere in there. It's been a long time since
Oh, no, that gives us a good idea. And do you know what the tanks are made of?
steel.
Steel. Do you know how thick that steel is?
It should be probably, it's at least 1/8 to 1/4 inch steel.
Are there precautions that you take when you're working with anhydrous ammonia?
Yes.
Okay, what are those?
You want to wear gloves. You want to wear eye goggles, something to protect your eyes. And you always want to make sure that you are upwind of where you're filling.
So you're filling them outside.
Yes, that's correct.
Why do you want to be upwind?
Because it will, it's dangerous. It's very cold. It'll burn your lungs.
What about, is it flammable?
I don't believe that it is flammable.
So if we look at some of the tanks, which will look at next week as well. Are there any sort of caution signs on the tanks?
I believe that there is, there's the green placards.
And what does that tell someone if they see that?
Oh, I can't remember what the green placards are, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. So you talked about the precautions you would take. So you would wear gloves, you would wear eye goggles, you would do this outside, so you were upwind of it, so you don't breathe it in. Anything else that you can think of?
I mean, not really, no.
Thank you. How many tanks do you think that you filled in the 4 years you worked there?
Oh, goodness. How many total for the farm, or how many do you think I filled in total as far as in all those years?
How about in all those years?
I would say north of 100.
And then anhydrous ammonia, is it the sort of thing where, for instance, you fill up the tank and then if it spills on the ground, you're fine with that?
No.
Okay, why not?
Again, it is, I can't remember the word for it. It scars your lungs.
So
That's what it does.
it's dangerous?
It is dangerous, yes.
Do you know, does it cause any sort of like staining or anything like that?
I would assume that it would burn you quite terribly. I wore gloves. I never came into skin contact with it.
Good. Sounds like a good plan. So we talked about you worked frequently 7 days a week. On Sundays, how often would you be there?
In season, I want to say that was, I can remember having the parts for that truck for at least 3 weeks.
Okay.
And I had not had a spare moment to work on it. It was fairly regular to work on Sundays. Usually, it would be a little later, slightly later in the day. It wouldn't necessarily be 7. It would be 8, maybe by the time I got there, and then I would leave sometime in the afternoon or evening.
Now you, it sounds like you worked a lot there.
I did.
You talked about a little bit about welding on the property. How frequently did you weld?
Maybe once a month.
Once a month. And what would you weld?
Brackets. If something was broke on a truck, a mud flap, little stuff like that. Nothing huge. No big projects.
Ms. Saylor, would you pull up Exhibit 150, which is our page 192? So it sounds like you know a little bit about the items that you would use to weld. Is that accurate, Mr.
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's all right. So while we're waiting for that to pull up, I'll ask you the question. So you talked about, you thought that Mr. Warner had an angle grinder in his hand. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And then you also referenced on the shelf you saw a plasma cutter.
Yes.
And Ms. Saylor is working on the technology issue now, but I'm going to keep asking you questions. And if you need to see the photo, I know she'll get it to work. What is it for someone who is not a welder, what does an angle grinder do?
An angle grinder is used for cleaning the surfaces for, it's basically a giant hard wheel of sandpaper that is attached to an electric motor, and that's what you use to clean paint off in order to weld. If you don't clean the paint off before you weld, you won't be able to make an electrical connection, which is how welding works, and you wouldn't be able to weld.
So an angle grinder, so if I'm looking at an item that I want to weld, actually, do you mind pointing out there, since we've got here the plasma grinder there?
The plasma cutter.
Oh, excuse me, the plasma cutter.
Is the gray one there next to the blue barrel.
Can you zoom in on that, Ms. Saylor? Thank you. So that's the plasma cutter.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, great. So we'll get to that in a minute. So the angle grinder. So if I want to weld something, I would use an angle grinder to take the paint off? And then I would weld it, is that accurate?
Yes.
And then what about a plasma cutter? What is its purpose?
Plasma cutter cuts steel
A plasma cutter cuts steel.
cleanly, quickly. It's basically a faster version of a cutting torch.
Thank you. Now, you referred to a load barn. Would you point that on the map for us? Or the spray barn?
The spray barn.
Okay.
Yes, that would be number 7 over here.
Did you also hear people refer to that as a load barn?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone has sort of these unique little variances in their buildings, and I just wanted to make sure. So 7 is the spray barn, but it's also referred to as the load barn.
Yes.
Is that accurate? And then you indicated that tanks would be stored at the Carson property, the Paragon property, and on the Munger property. Is that
Yes.
correct? How, it sounds like every day there are tanks sort of being moved around on the property. Is that accurate?
Depending on the weather, yes.
And then more than one tank at times?
Yes.
When I listened to your testimony and you were identifying the surveillance videos and things that you watched and where you thought you saw Mr. Warner, I had that you saw him, correct me if I'm wrong, on the Kubota, which is the smaller sort of ATV vehicle, right?
Yes.
The JCB, which
Yes.
is the one with the scoop. The sprayer, that's the green one.
That's correct.
The tractor with the corn planter, that's the red one.
Yes.
And then the forklift, that has those two little prongs sticking
Yes.
out, right? Did I miss anything else?
No, but I would like to add that I don't believe that I identified Mr. Warner in the Versatile, although that is a tractor that he almost exclusively was the only one that used.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So you saw that, but you didn't identify him as driving
I
it?
did not see him identify him in the tractor.
Thank you. Now, anything else about your work that you think is significant that I have not asked you about?
I don't believe so.
Okay, terrific. I want to get to Sunday, April 25th, 2021. You said you got there in the morning. I know we're going back a number of years, so roughly maybe 10 a.m., 11 a.m.?
Somewhere in there,
Somewhere.
yes.
And you came, did your brother come with you?
No, he drove separately.
He drove separately. Now, at some point, Mr. Warner comes out and chats with you, correct?
Yes.
And he lets you know that Ms. Warner is missing.
Yes.
And he also says that he was concerned that she was missing, correct?
That is correct.
You, excuse me, when you were on the property, you just went on the property. You didn't like go and tell him, hi, I'm here, or anything like that, correct?
No.
You just went to work on your truck.
That's correct.
And he didn't know your brother was coming either, correct?
I don't believe so, no.
That day, is it fair to say that everyone was in and out of there all the time?
Yes.
And a couple of drivers came in to get trucks, there were just people coming and going?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. No one told you you need to leave or anything like that, correct?
No.
At some point in time, you go to the load barn, which is the spray barn, that's number 7, right?
Yes.
And you are down there for roughly 13 minutes?
Yes.
And at that point, you're speaking with Mr. Warner, correct?
I don't remember.
Would listening to your interview help you remember?
Possibly, but I don't remember that from. There was many times that I would go down to that barn over 40. I couldn't pick out.
No, and I get that. We are in 2026. I am asking you something almost 5 years ago, in April of 2021. I can let you listen to your interview if you would like, but do you dispute that you went down to the load barn and
No.
chatted with him?
No.
And that you assisted him with putting trash in the bucket of the JCB?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't have. I can't find the word for that. But I wouldn't contest that, no.
Right, and so I think you know, I've got the interview that you gave to the police, and so you're not contesting that that's you on the interview saying that, correct?
No.
Thank you. And again, if you want to listen to it, you certainly can. And then on that day, the entire day you were there, you don't remember seeing Mr. Warner with a tank at all, correct?
I do not, no.
And you don't remember seeing Mr. Warner doing anything with the tank, correct?
I do not.
On that day, April 25th, 2021, that Sunday, you did not see anything out of the ordinary on the Munger property, correct?
No.
Correct. Yes, sir?
Yes, that's correct. I did not see anything out of the ordinary. To be fair, I wasn't looking for anything out of the ordinary. It was just another day.
Just another day. Great. Thank you, sir.
Oh, did you already unhook it? Oh, you just unhooked it. I believe you discussed in 2021 anhydrous tanks would be delivered to other farms, is that correct?
That's correct.
And who would do those deliveries?
Levi.
Who?
What is Levi's last name? Levi Sealer. Leroy? Levi. Mr. Sealer.
Okay. And did anybody else, to your knowledge, move those tanks? Deliver the tanks? I apologize.
I would on occasion. If he wasn't there, we had enough orders for me to do so.
Okay. Do you know if Jim Hawkins delivered those too?
I would assume that if I wasn't there, yes.
Okay,
I
but you don't know
for a
sure.
fact.
Okay,
No.
all right. And did you ever see Dale moving tanks around the farm?
Very rarely, unless he was hooking up to go to the field with our own tanks to apply on our own ground.
Okay. Is that something he would typically say, hey, I need you to go do this to an employee?
Usually, I'm gonna go. For instance, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna apply on the Point property. Can you bring 2 or 3 tanks up there, and then I should be good.
Okay. And I believe you stated that you never saw the defendant let his temper get the best of him. Is that accurate?
No. Yes, that is accurate.
All right. And were you around him all the time?
Maybe an hour or two cumulative over the week.
We talked a little bit about the anhydrous tanks and how they're dangerous. If I have an anhydrous tank and it's empty, what does it mean to bleed it off?
I mean that you would open up the one of the valves in order to take the pressure out of it so that it was at the same atmospheric pressure as the environment.
Okay, so now the tank is empty and it's been bled off. Is there anything dangerous about that now?
I would believe that there would still be a very small amount in the bottom of the tank that's liquid.
Okay, but it would no longer be what it was when it was pressurized, correct?
It wouldn't be as dangerous, no.
Okay. And you indicated exposure to a small amount could cause the lungs to scar. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And that would cause coughing?
Coughing, shortness of breath, inability to catch your own breath,
Okay.
and in severe cases, I mean, it will kill you in a large enough amount.
In a large amount, okay.
It's-
Now, you indicated that you had been working a lot at that point in time, but the 25th was your planned day off, is that?
Yes.
And nobody expected you on the farm that day, correct?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
But to be fair, there was not very many days that I didn't at least drive through.
Okay. I believe, so on the surveillance footage, we see the defendant in his uniform. Can you describe the top he had on for me?
This shirt,
Yes.
it would have been a gray Warag uniform shirt,
All right, and was that, do you remember if that was short sleeve, long sleeve?
short sleeve.
Let me ask you this, if you weld with a short sleeve shirt on, what's gonna happen?
You are going to get something called welder burn, which is kind of like sunburn.
Okay, and how soon after you get this sunburn would that appear?
Within hours, if you were welding in the afternoon, by the evening time, you would experience it.
Okay, and,
Prolonged exposure.
okay, and then, so it could be anywhere from hours to,
I would say you'd have to be welding for at least an hour.
okay.
Pretty continuously in order to get weld burn. Like,
Okay. What if you were, well, let me ask you this. Let me show you People's Exhibit 74. What does that appear to be to you?
Objection. He's not an expert on welding burns. He's talked about his own experiences, but to be able to look at a photograph and say one way or the other, I think is out of this witness's purview.
I think he can testify based on observing his own experiences as well as observing the welding gloves that were taken from, well, the welding gloves that were pictured on the farm that day, Your Honor.
I'm going to sustain the objection. I don't think there's a sufficient basis for him to offer an opinion on this issue.
You talked about the angle grinder a little bit, correct?
that's correct.
All right. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 38. Is that the item you were talking about?
That is correct, yes.
All right. And that item can also cut through steel, correct?
That is correct.
Objection leading.
I'll rephrase it. Can that item cut through steel?
Yes.
You indicated that on Sunday, April 25th, that when you did talk to the defendant, he was concerned that his wife was missing.
Yes.
What does that mean?
He had formed an opinion of what he thought had happened to her. He said that she must have left. I can remember him telling me that she had taken some items with her. He'd noticed that they were missing from the house, and I would say he was visibly worried about where she might be or if she might be okay.
Did he express that in words to you, that he was concerned about where she might be?
Yes. And several times after that.
You indicated that you believe you assisted the defendant in putting some trash into the JCB back by the spray barn
Yes.
on Sunday the 25th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 174. Is that what is this?
That is the end of that spray loadout barn.
Okay. And where is the trash container? Well, what trash would you be taking out?
So, like everything else in the world that we live in, chemicals are packaged in several different packages. So your jugs of chemical will be packed in boxes. The boxes will be packed in crates. The crates will be put, it's all saran wrapped on a pallet.
Is there a dumpster outside of the spray barn?
No,
Is there a dumpster anywhere out here?
no.
Okay, and where would
Would generally huck all the boxes off to the side somewhere behind the walk door. And then when we got to it, or the pile got too big to contain, when we had about a bucket load, we'd take it out and dispose of it.
Nothing further.
Mr. Boyd, you indicated that an angle grinder can cut through steel. What's better to cut through steel, an angle grinder or a plasma cutter?
It depends on the application, but would be quicker to cut large amounts of metal with a plasma cutter.
Thank you. I have no additional questions.
The angle grinder versus the plasma cutter, is there one that's going to give me a straighter cut?
The straighter cut would probably be the angle grinder.
How long would it take to cut through about 1/8 of steel with an angle grinder?
It depends on the length, but it would not take very long with either device. One of them is melting it, and one of them is cutting it.
And what's not very long to you?
For instance, it would take 5 seconds to cut a chunk a foot long. In half, it would probably take closer to a minute and a half to cut it with an angle grinder.
So an angle grinder is going to take longer.
Yes.
And does it depend on how fast it's going?
They're all pretty much a set speed.
All set a set speed so you don't adjust the speed?
No.
But the quicker of the two is going to be the plasma cutter.
Yes.
No additional questions, thank you.
No further questions, Your Honor.
We have several questions from jurors if counsel could approach. Mr. Boyd, one of the questions is about a prior interview, so we're going to have you listen to that, the relevant section of that interview.
For the record, can I please have you let me know the date of the interview that you're having him listen to?
Sure. So that interview was, well, I can tell you, so the time was 45:36. The interview was with Detective Drewer and Detective Singleton. I think it was 8/23/2024, but I'm going to confirm that. It was. It was August 23rd, 2024.
Thank you.
Miss Salem, what time do you want to do?
45, 41.
Once we get to 46:40.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Boyd, so the question related to what you just listened to is, was there something said by Mr. Boyd in his original interview about loading trash in the JCB?
Yes. I did in that interview say that I remembered fairly certainly that I helped him load trash out of that barn into the bucket of the JCB.
Right. I don't know how you want to do follow-up questions, if you have any, if you want to do them question by question, or if you want to wait.
I'd say maybe all the questions, the way I think we've normally been doing it.
I'd like to go question by question.
Oh,
just
okay.
so-
Sure.
Okay.
So, that interview where you indicated you helped him take trash out was in 2024, correct? August of 2024?
Yes.
And you were asked if you remembered anything specifically from the 25th, correct?
Yes.
And did you really have a memory of 3.5 years prior?
It's my best guess that's what happened. I don't for certain remember that. I am 60 to 70% sure that that's what I did. It was a common occurrence. You know, if I went down there and Dale was loading up trash, I'd help him load it.
Okay, so if you were told you were by the spray barn that day, that would have been your best guess?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Boyd, when you were interviewed, you said you were 85 to 90% sure that's what happened, correct?
Yes.
No further questions, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, so the next question is, any chemicals on the farm that would cause burns or red skin if exposed?
Several, depending on the length of exposure to them. I mean, most fertilizers are not real good stuff. They do have the ability to have reactions with the skin. They're chemicals. The worst one by far is the anhydrous. That is the one that's going to give you the most adverse reaction with the least amount of exposure.
If you were exposed to a chemical that caused burns to your body, how long would that exposure or that take to show?
With regard to anhydrous,
I just would ask that it be based on his personal knowledge. That he's so if this has happened to him, he says it, or if he saw it happen to someone, rather than just speculating about this, because he's not an expert in this.
no, and you're right, I'm not.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask you not to speak any further. Ms. Wise, you have any response to that?
I'll rephrase the question.
Okay.
Have you personally observed any burns that you know to be from chemical burns?
Yes,
The chemicals that you just described?
yes.
Okay, and who was that? Who did you observe that on?
On myself. I mean, we would handle chemicals, and from time to time I would get a little on my forearm.
What chemical did you burn yourself with?
I believe it was liquid 28, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
And did that cause blistering or anything?
Did not cause blistering. I actually was covered head to toe in it, and it wasn't quite as bad as a sunburn, but it was definitely very itchy, very uncomfortable, very red.
Thank you.
I have no questions on that topic. Thank you.
To your knowledge, how often would anhydrous tanks from the manufacturer be modified by employees or people at the farm?
To my knowledge, maybe one or two a year. I mean, we didn't do a ton of maintenance if something was broken, but that really wasn't my duty. That was it was usually done by Jim, if I remember right, as far as maintenance on the tanks.
So when you said maintenance on the tanks, I think I heard you say Jim, is that correct?
Yes.
Jim Hawkins?
Yes.
Okay, so you wouldn't know anything about maintenance or altering tanks?
Nothing more than changing tires and wheel bearings.
Thank you.
Do you know, were the tanks purchased from the manufacturer, or were some of them purchased used?
I believe it was a mix, but I wouldn't be able to comment really on that.
Okay, thank you.
Does the plasma cutter need gas to function or cut?
No. Plasma cutters work off of, so you would supply an air source, compressed air from an air compressor, as well as usually it's a 220 volt electrical current, and that's what it uses to cut.
No follow-up on that question, Your Honor.
No follow-up, thank you.
Does Jaron normally work in the spray barn?
Only probably as much as I did, which was fairly limited. I don't believe that he even had knowledge of how to run the loadout system in that barn. So he would have been in there as much or less than me, to my knowledge.
When you say you would have been in the spray barn as much or less than you, how often were you actually in that spray barn?
In season, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, maybe on, if we had a lot of customers that were doing liquid fertilizer application.
Thank you.
No follow-up, thank you.
Is it typical that Dale would spray on a day as windy as April 25th, and that's in reference to the tree moving in the camera?
You are not supposed to, and it was not. It's not recommended. I don't. I was not around the farm when he usually sprayed, so I wouldn't have a whole lot of knowledge on that.
No follow-up? No follow-up, thank you.
Okay, and so that is all of the questions. Can we excuse Mr. Boyd from his subpoena at this point?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Boyd, you are released. You're free to go, or if you wanted to remain in the courtroom, you're able to do that now as well. All right, before your next witness, Mr. McCready, why don't we take a short break, and I'll use that opportunity to address the questions that were not asked and give everybody a chance to get up and move around a little bit. Okay, so we had several questions that were not asked, and I believe with respect to all of these, the attorneys agreed that they should not be asked. So I just want an opportunity to read those into the record. The first is, most likely, what would Dale have used the grinder tool for? The next is it possible to reliably identify the individual who performed a weld based solely on its visual appearance? If yes, have you had an opportunity to inspect the weld on tank 34? And if yes, can you determine who welded tank 34? The next is, on all the anhydrous tanks you've seen at the farm, have you ever seen another cover over the relief valves like the one on tank 34? Are those covers always factory or manufacturer installed? And the last is, have you ever noticed Dale and Dee argue? If so, did it ever turn physical? Is that accurate, Ms. Wise and Ms. Chartier?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And so with respect to the last question, we did decide that was a question I received early on in the testimony, and that it had been adequately covered. I think that's the only one of those that we had that issue with. All right, anything else we need to address on the record right now?
Your Honor, I would just place on the record that we did have a witness who appeared today that was going to testify this afternoon, Jason Gravel, and we have sent him home and asked him to return Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.
All right. Anything else then?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's take 5 or 10 minutes. We'll come back and proceed with the next witness.
Thank you.